I'm your host, Sonal Fool. Welcome to Hunny Walia shows. We are bringing the city candidates, the people who are going to run for the city councillor and want to make a change to the city council. On the same series, we have Derek with us. Derek is running for Ward 7, which also known as a CP Winner Walk. And Derek, has a local entrepreneur, has decided to step away from the business and come to the community in politics to change, bring the positive. We will be going to talk about it, what changes he would like to see, what he wants to bring. In the background, Edmonton, he has been living here since 1989. As a teenager, Derek attended a local high school here, went to work in the oil patch shortly after that. After years in the oil field, he took a change and moved to Calgary to continue his education, where he studied business, technology, and finances. Following that, he successfully took in a management role in a small service company and then stepped into his first business venture. Moving back to Edmonton in 2007, Derek made the transition from oil and gas into construction and once again started a company in 2010. Since then, he has been part of the company. He has a vast experience, technology, business management, and IT. Welcome, Derek.
Hi, well, thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Derek. Derek, now, when I was reading about your bio, like you have been in a business, you have your own business, you have studied, you have done oil and patch, so you have a vast experience. Why you decided at this time to come to the politics?
Well, it's funny for me. I never actually had intention on ever doing any sort of politics. Being a politician was never a goal of mine. But there's been there's just been a lot of things that have happened over the last while that have me concerned about some of the direction that Edmonton is heading, in particular with our financial situation. And so I was just less than happy about some of the spending priorities and some of the other things that had happened at City Hall, and a friend of mine suggested that maybe I should run to try to make a difference, try to make some positive change there.
You're bringing accountability in the finance system, right? And
Yes.
with your experience in a business and finances, how you will see the accountability and transparency is coming in the city council, how you will implement that?
Well, there's a lot of layers of management. So our costs to run the city have nearly doubled in the last 8 years. And so there's and certainly in our service levels of things have gone down. So, I mean, focusing on trying to get back to core services that we all need, and addressing those things, while addressing some of the issues with annual tax hikes, I think is going to be a large focus there for that.
So now you're talking, the tax and the budget, because for any corporation, you have your own business too. So I think you will understand, and I have my own business, I'm a safety consultant. And when we are running a business, the funds need to be there, right? You need for any operation, any capital investment, you need the money. And currently due to the pandemic and all the tax freeze and everything, city is kind of, has no money left. How will you see how you can change that, what you will be doing towards that?
Well, it's going to be a long process, and I mean, it's going to take just like running a business, it's going to take a detailed dive into everything that we're spending money on, and have to make some choices about is this necessary? Do we have to have 7 layers of management? Do we have to, can we weed through some of that? Can we get rid of some of, we spend a lot of money on consultants. Can we get rid of some of that? There's some of the other things I wasn't happy about last year when they stopped cutting the grass, but continued to give out e-bike rebates. That was one of the things that I felt was a little, wasn't serving the majority of Edmontonians, right? Most of us would have liked our grass cut and didn't need $5,000 e-bike. For people that can afford a $5,000 e-bike, to get an e-bike rebate on them. So anyway. So,
So now we are talking like, the account is, or the tax and the money is the major issue what we are talking about. Accountability and transparency, the other one.
yeah.
In the same token, we are talking about the reforms too, which includes the police reforms or reforms in a system, because the audit has basically brought the reforms also. Like they have talked about, we need to change the system, the management system, take the layers out. On the same token, where you see when we are talking about the police reforms, where do you see where we are heading to?
In the police reforms. So I dislike the terminology being used, defunding the police and making the police the enemy. And I understand fully that we need to make some changes, and I understand that there are some issues within the police department, and I understand that we need to modernize our way of doing things. I just feel like we're better off with a more collaborative approach and a more the police are a friend. The police are something, that we need. The police department, they do a lot for us, right? We certainly don't want to be without them. There's a lot of we couldn't go without police, I guess is what I'm saying. We can't go. And so I feel a more collaborative effort needs to be done with the police department to address some of the issues that they have. Well, and talk with them about, okay, these are the issues that we see. What do we need to do to change them? And less antagonistic and more collaborative is how I feel that should be addressed.
No, I really like the word collaborative, because when we work together, when we work as a team, we always achieve more. Like this is a basic, 101 with the business analysis, business funda, or, when you want to progress the business, you want to develop the business or take it to the different level. You have to work as a team, and all the layers have to work, or the team has to work together. In the same token, we have in a in a you know we have not seen all the positive in the community too, right? Like racism isn't one issue where we have faced a lot of issues and we are talking about it. Like we need to make people more enlightened. We have to increase the awareness. What your thoughts are there?
Well, racism is kind of a twofold issue, though, right? I mean, one is at a government administrative level, within governments, within police force, within those things that we can control, and we can enact laws, and we can make change policies and things along those lines, and those things can be done rather quickly. The other thing that's more difficult to tackle is someone's personal thoughts and feelings, and so I don't know how we make a law against someone's feelings or thoughts, right? There's groups that spread stuff on the internet, or amongst other things, and that's a real issue that we have to address. And I think that if we're, as a community, the more of us that are speaking out against racism, that are talking about equality, that are talking about inclusion, talking about equal opportunities, and the more people talk about that, we drown out those voices on the fringe that are doing things counterproductive to what a society needs.
Well, thank you, Derek. Thanks for your feedback. I really appreciate that. You're watching Hunny Walia shows. I'm your host, Sonal Fool. I just wanted to thank you, Derek, for coming forward, taking a time from his campaign and letting us know what his platforms are, what he's fighting for. On the same token, I would like to say thank you to all our viewers, all our well-wishers, the people who are contributed, watched our show. We have completed 1 year, and we are giving a promotion to all our viewers who have businesses, corporations, and they would like to advertise in our show. It's a 1 month free promotion, no obligations, no cost involved. So for informations, you are more than welcome to contact us, email, phone us, and we will give you the details and help you to promote your business. Derek, on a same token, right, like we talk about the accountability, transparency, and all those things, what is happening. And there's another hot topic, not the short, but the hot topic, bike lanes. What's your thoughts around that?
So I like the idea of more people riding their bikes, and so I like that idea of more people riding their bikes. However, we have to understand our climate and our geography, and people's mobility issues, and the reality is that that's impractical for the majority of the people, the majority of the time. You know, based on where we work and how we live our lives, and tough to take your kids to school on a bicycle, right? And so I feel that some of the expenditures on bike lanes don't um, aren't appropriate for the amount of use that we see out of them, including the snow removal that has to take care of bike lanes in the winter. We have curb bike lanes that ice up the bike lane in the winter. I was for the bike lanes when we had a lane designation. I like the idea of some of the European cities with a painted lane designation for bicycles. If the bicycle's there, the cars have to be around it. If there's no bicycle, cars can drive in the lane. It doesn't dedicate that to it. And I realize that there's some education that has to go with that, and the level of respect that our society doesn't seem to have for one another nowadays. We seem to be lacking that, but it would be a more practical use. We could do far more painted bike lines than concrete bike lanes, concrete curbed lanes that for the same amount of cost. The cost, I don't feel like the cost benefit is there for how we're currently doing them.
Thank you. So you will be looking forward for a change in that, even if the bike lane stays.
I'll have to look more into it, because the trouble I have is obviously there's cost involved in taking it out. So now whether that cost of taking it out, it's again, I know that Councillor Zadek had released some numbers about what we spent on de-icing and de-snowing those particular bike lanes, and so I'll have to look at a further analysis on the cost of making changes to the existing lanes that are there, and whether that makes sense, is whether we're getting good value for dollar, or whether we're better off just sticking with what we've got and leaving what's there currently. So
Derek, I have another question. You did talk about the snow, we did talk about the roads. Now, my second question is the environment. Like you being in oil and gas industry too, being a construction person also, and the energy sources are changing. We are going towards a more renewable energies. The city and ECHO has basically recently talked about putting a solar panels in the energy source in downtown Valley, right? Where the river valley is. What's your thoughts around that?
that is extremely sad. So I think solar power is fantastic. I think it's a huge black eye on the city of Edmonton that we're the only jurisdiction in North America that needed a river valley to stick a solar farm in when we're surrounded by brownfields. And the decision was made to increase EPCOR's profits, and rather than what was best for Edmonton. And the fact that we are industrializing our river valley, is actually a large part of the reason as why I'm running. I was so against that. I'm in the river valley all the time, as much as I can, hiking and mountain biking in the river valley, and it's nice to be one with nature down there. And it's a non-expandable place where even St. Albert is putting a solar farm in a brownfield, and we are surrounded by brownfields. And why we couldn't do that, but it does go in line with a city council that seems more concerned about EPCOR's profits than what the city of Edmonton needs.
So what do you think I agree with you. I have been on the City Valley. I take my kids there. We as a family, we go for a walk. And even last Saturday we were walking. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous. The greenery, how much greenery is there next to the river is breathtaking. So let's see what the new council will do.
Well,
And this,
hopefully that I mean, that issue, I believe, is got an injunction, a court injunction right now. And I've spoken with a number of the mayoral candidates, as well as other councillors, some of the councillors that voted against that project. There's a lot of people on board for scrapping that project if it hasn't got started before the election. There's a lot of movement to scrap that particular project, and I'm hoping that we could get that done this winter.
And Derek, the other question is lot another hot topic, because when we talk about the business concepts, right, or enterprise, or creating a job market and bringing your private sectors, right, the gondola. Uh, like I have spoken to a lot of people, and some people think bringing a project is good because city is not investing anything and is all the private sector. It will be that, but it will create a tourism. It will create a job market. And other sectors talks also about, what happened or what if they are not there to fulfill their requirements. What your thoughts are on it?
So I don't trust that there won't be public money involved in the building or the running of the project, and that Prairie Sky Gondola has not released a business plan. So we haven't seen that. They keep talking about it not being public money that going into it in the construction or the running of it. Ultimately, I just don't trust that personally. My suggestion was that the principals of Prairie Sky Gondola put up personal guarantees that they would cover any shortfalls out of their personal accounts if the project doesn't go forward, and we'd see then if the commitment was still there to do it.
No, thank you, Derek, for taking your time and coming to Honey Walia shows and giving me opportunity to talk to you. Um, in the end, what message would you like to give to our viewers, and what your plan are for your zone?
So in the end, I would like people to, what I'd like people to know the most is that for me, what's most important is reducing some of the huge capital projects that we've been taking on so that we can resume and improve our core services, so that we can build more parks, so that we can take care of our parks, so we can have, we can stop neglecting our roadways. We can look after our homeless population a lot better. There's so many core services that seem to be getting neglected in the city when we seem to have unlimited funds for huge capital projects. I would have much rather seen all 1,000 city diesel buses get switched to electric with it and lower our operating costs by 40% so we could reduce bus fares than a trolley car line to go to the West End that we when we just took one out, right? And so anyway, it's just things like that. I'm going to focus on improving the lives of every Edmontonian, not just not just pompous projects, to put it bluntly.
No, thank you. I really appreciate, and all the best wishes, Derek. You're watching Honey Walia shows. I'm your host, Sonal Fool. As Derek said, also mentioned, and thank you for reminding Derek, election will be coming in few days, few months. We will not be able to see the change. We will not be able to improve anything till we do our homework and learn about all the candidates, what they are bringing, what their platform, and coming out on that day and voting for that day, just taking your right, choosing your right, voting, then only we will be able to see the change and we can move forward. What you want to say, anything on that, Derek, like choosing your voter rights?
Well, you know what? I hope we see a great voter turnout on this next election. I hope that people are paying attention and that they really do look into their candidates in their ward and make a decision and go to the ballot box informed with some knowledge. Would be wonderful to see a record voter turnout on this election. So.
I wish the same thing too. And I encourage everyone to go do your homework, find out who your candidates are and who will be good for your ward as well as the city. Um, Thank you, and please stay safe. Keep watching each other. I'm your host, Sonal Full. Have a good day. Safe day.